Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, sponsored, powered, brought to you by the No Fallen Heroes universe. Also, Micro Doses. Going to start plugging our Micro Doses, our healing supplements. You can head to microdoses.com. We actually have a Maverick Mind product. We have morning brief. I take it before I go to hot yoga. Every morning I get up, wash my face, brush my teeth, back in bed, or actually out back by the pool. I know 49 states right now hate me, but hey, living in God's waiting room in Boca Raton has its benefits, but I'll go out and sit by the pool, a little chill in the air here in January or February actually now. And I love it. So a little outdoor meditation at sunrise, take my morning brief, and gets me off to a good day. And then before I go to bed, about an hour before I go to bed, night trap or night duty. I think we changed the name to night duty. He said duty. And sleep like a baby. Wake up refreshed, no sleep, hangover type of thing, man. So head to microdoses.com and there's a Maverick Mind in the drop down. And between us friends right now, I'm going to hook you up. This is supposed to be for angel investors and family and friends only. But if you're listening to this podcast, you're most likely a family and a friend. Even if I haven't met you yet, you're a friend. So you ready for this? Always 30. If you use the discount code always 30, going to hook you up with a 30% discount. You're welcome. Please don't post that on social media or all sorts. Please don't get crazy with that because a vast majority of our proceeds from the sale of Maverick Mind goes over the fence to the No Fallen Heroes Foundation, man. So good stuff. So know that taking Maverick Mind products and microdose products can help you. 100% legal. I think I had a podcast about this a while ago. People are like, buddies who are airline, but hey, am I allowed to take I'm like, dude, this is 100% legal. Ain't no psilocybin. I mean, let's be blindingly clear. But here's what's funny, folks. Uncle Sam, when it outlawed psilocybin, it allows you to be a free thinker. Denied. They didn't go after a bunch of other mushrooms that provide similar benefits like Amanita muscaria. I defer to my brother in crime, in love, in truth, Daniel Carcillo. He's an expert at this stuff. Dr. Jeremy, Dr. J out at the Do Good Ranch. I defer to those guys. I'm still getting up to speed, man. I defer to our beautiful director of medicine operations, Miss Nicole Fox. Happy birthday. Today is Miss Nicole's birthday. But I just know that all the products in our Maverick Mind, all the ingredients in our Maverick Mind products are 100% legal and 100% natural and just good stuff. There's a microdoses product called Holy Water. Definitely want to check that out. Great alcohol substitute, man. Alcohol's out, man. It's poison. No offense, man. Isn't it interesting how alcohol is the only drug that you get questioned as to why you don't do it? Nowadays, people are like, oh, Whiz, you don't drink anymore. What happened? I mean, what happened? Well, something did happen, actually. I don't need to do it anymore. I healed. Got rid of that alcohol funk. And, again, every once in a while, going to a steakhouse or something, might have a couple glasses of wine with my steak and my fries. Cholesterol was elevated this week. Speaking of that. I went to my doctor down in Fort Lauderdale. He's like, I thought I throttled back on that. So anyway, but I can have a couple glasses of wine now, but old Whiz, a couple glasses of wine was a couple bottles. That guy died on the bed in Mexico. So check out microdoses.com, the Maverick Mind line of healing products. And I'm pleased to announce that we're going to do another Maverick Mind. I should have worn it today. Hoodie and t-shirt run and hats. We're getting, thank you, first of all, for wanting to wear our merch. And because it actually starts a conversation, right? People see the Maverick Mind, kind of the psychedelic fighter pilot. And, they see our beautiful No Fallen Heroes Foundation hat with the F-18. People ask about the logo sometimes. Let me give you the logo story. Look at it. It's an F-18 Hornet that I flew breaking out of a Pentagon. breaking out of that Pentagon, man. The DOD, the breaking out of the man, becoming an independent and free thinker. Maybe war isn't all, always the answer. They got me hook, line, and sinker with wrapping themselves into flags and patriotic. We have a lot to talk about today, man. We're going to break this podcast up into twos, into a half. I don't know what I'm going to go with first, but I have a debrief about ketamine. And then maybe I'll end with that because I want to end on a high note and goodness as opposed to the other half that I need to talk about, which is war. Ladies and gentlemen, as of me getting on this podcast, it's almost a week since 3 United States Army soldiers were killed in an attack by Iranian proxy forces in Jordan. And Army air defense fucked up. They didn't shoot that drone down because they confused it with one of our drones. They thought one of our drones was coming, and then it was actually an enemy drone that targeted the barracks. Not one Jordanian troop was injured or killed. They knew exactly where our troops were sleeping. These 3 great Americans don't even know they're dead right now. They know they transitioned. God bless them. God bless their families. Joe Biden, you son of a bitch, you did it again. He called the parents of one of the dead soldiers. And do you know what he said again? Well, yeah, I kind of know what you're going through. My son, Bo, died in Iraq. What the fuck are you doing, Mr. President? You're either lying or you're nuts. And either way, that's bad. His son did not die in Iraq. As a veteran, as active duty, as all sorts of people, we have something called stolen valor. People who wear a uniform and I served, and they lie, or they lie about their service. Senator Richard Blumenthal, a senator from Connecticut, limousine liberal in the Northeast. I served in Vietnam. The fuck you did, dude. Oh, when he got called out for his bullshit stolen valor. I served during the Vietnam era. For years, he coasted on that. I go out of my way to tell people, I'm like, I might have an air medal, 2 air medals for combat sorties over Iraq. They were without a doubt the most boring flying I've done in the Hornet. The toughest flying I ever did was over the skies of Fallon, Nevada at Top Gun. That was fucking tough. The toughest flying I did was trying to land back aboard the boat. So I go out of my way to tell people about my military service. I'm almost embarrassed. Other people? Sir, no. So Joe Biden is stolen valor for Gold Star families. He did that when the 13 were killed in Afghanistan during his horrific surrender and withdrawal. Remember him looking at his watch as those coffins were coming off the cargo plane? He's standing there with his one hand on his heart and the other hand looking at his watch like, when's this over? And the one dad, he's like, I should have called you out at the time, but he did it again, talking to those families. Oh, I know how you all feel. I lost a son in Iraq. Are you paying attention to this? What's the White House's response? Oh, well, he's, that's Uncle Joe. He just kind of, alliterates, or he just kind of, are you fucking kidding me, people? It's a disgrace to every parent, husband, wife, brother, sister, who's lost a family member in Iraq or Afghanistan. It's a lie, Mr. President, and it's not cute or folksy. Clean it the fuck up. I get you lost your son, man. It's a horror. I feel bad for you. I have empathy and compassion for that. That ends when you lie about his death. Never knew Beau Biden, but Mr. President, I get you probably knew him pretty damn well. But I'm going to say I've known a lot of people probably like Beau Biden in uniform, and they would be furious that their father is running around saying something like that. I doubt, don't super want to make assumptions, but I doubt Beau Biden is sitting there transitioning and with us all right now going, yeah, that's just super awesome, Dad. Thanks for doing this. Again, folks, when you try and pin people down on this, they squirm and they stop it. I do not want my children serving in the military. Did you see Sideshow Bob, our press secretary, this week? Those three folks, not soldiers, service personnel, heroes. Those three folks died serving this administration. Did you see that? Of course you didn't, because the media is not going to show you those type of clips. She said those three people, folks, sorry, I want to quote her exactly what she said. Those three folks died serving this administration. The fuck they did, Sideshow Bob. They died, and they didn't have to die serving this country. They put up their right hand and swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, which some of you could use a little education about. Died serving this administration. My God, you can't get any fucking worse than that. But that's what they believe. They say the quiet parts out loud sometimes, and they show us who they truly are. You want your daughter or your son being a bullet or missile sponge or a drone sponge in the Middle East? As of me jumping on this podcast this morning, over 160 attacks against U.S. forces in the Middle East. What? 1? 6? 60? No. 100? No. 160 attacks against our troops, folks. Ronald Reagan is spinning in his grave. Ronald Reagan destroyed in the largest naval battle since like the Battle of Midway, destroyed like most of the Iranian Navy back in the 80s when they fucked around and found out. Navy SEALs landing on oil platforms, blowing them up. Oh shit. They're not joking around. Barack Hussein Obama, $6 billion. Euros, I'm sorry, 6 billion euros on pallets of cash on unmarked airplanes in the middle of the night to get American hostages released. Joe Biden did the same thing. Joe Biden got into office and scrapped Trump's sanctions, tough sanctions that were working and hurting them. Nope, we're getting rid of those. Hey, Iran, we're going to bomb you with money. Maybe that'll work. Yemen, the Houthis, not the Blowfish, not Darius Rucker, which we're going to talk about in a second here. They took the Houthis off the terror list. The Houthis are trying to kill us. Did you see the USS Gravely or something? The USS something or other. The other day, they had to use their Sea Whiz. You see Whiz? I'm right here. No, the Sea Whiz. Close Inboard Weapon System, CIWS. It looks like R2-D2 with a big Gatling gun sticking out of it. It is the last ditch against an incoming missile. So the other night or day or whenever it was, a missile got so close to our naval ship. I don't know what happened. I don't know if they missed it with some surface to air missiles, or they didn't see it, and the Sea Whiz picked it up at the last second. A missile got within a mile of the United States destroyer, and the Sea Whiz had to and shoot it down. Thank God it worked. For months, ladies and gentlemen, during these 160 attacks, I've told you it is only a matter of time before they kill our troops. They did it. It's only a matter of time until they hit one of our ships. And this ain't the USS New Jersey, folks. These aren't battleships. These things are made out of like aluminum foil. They get hit, it's going to be, and it's packed full of tech and equipment and humans. Our young daughters and sons are packed in that ship. Do you remember the USS Cole? I think it was actually in Yemen as well. I'm seeing a common theme here. They were in port getting fuel, and a fucking dude in a Boston whaler pulls up to the side full of explosives. Boom. 13, 17. I'm apologize that I don't know the exact number, but the USS Cole almost sank the damn ship, killed all these poor sailors. I'm furious. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Secretary of Defense Austin, who did his first press conference since being AWOL for his surgery and since being AWOL after these people getting killed. What are you doing? It breaks my heart. In addition to the 3 soldiers, Sideshow Bob, not folks, the 3 soldiers who were killed, over 30 injured, 8 at last count, seriously injured, critically airlifted to Germany. God bless these people. The rest have traumatic brain injuries. What are we doing? I said it's been almost a week and we haven't done a thing. Do you know why? I know why, because I have people on the inside. We're giving them a heads up. I want that to sink in. The Iranian generals are scattering. They're scattering their weapons, and it's going to be a little bit of a show of force. We are actually back channeling to the Iranians like, hey, by the way, here's where we're going to hit. We gotta make it look like we're tough. Don't believe me? It started with Bill Clinton when I was in the United States Navy flying Hornets. I forget the name of the operation, but Saddam did something. Bill Clinton felt forced to respond, of course, because he didn't want to. You know what he did? He lobbed a bunch of cruise missiles or Tomahawks or whatever it was into the 3rd Corps Air Defense Headquarters and some other targets or whatever they were. You know when he did it? In the middle of the night. Why? I'll never forget Nancy Pelosi. Well, that just shows he's a compassionate president. If you use the word compassion and the word war in the same sentence, you're a fucking idiot. You are not a serious person. War, let me remind everybody, is a failure of the human condition. If, as the ultimate last resort, compassion, Ms. Pelosi, comes before war. You show empathy and compassion and you exhaust all of that stuff to avoid war. But if, God forbid, war has to happen, ain't no fucking compassion. War has to be horrific, violent, absolutely insanely awful. Why? So both sides go, holy shit, what are we doing? Let's stop this. Instead, you have cowards in the White House, in the Department of Defense, who just kind of half pregnant and pinprick and it gets dragged out and more people ultimately die. If Joe Biden and Kamala and Austin had actually taken the time at the beginning when they started attacking us and beat the shit out of these people, you wouldn't have to go bigger and longer and stronger in these attacks. They're not serious people. Secretary of Defense under Obama was a Republican. What's his name? Gates. He was the CIA director. In his book, he maps out over 50 years of Joe Biden in the United States Senate and as a vice president. He was on the wrong side of every foreign policy decision. And it's so funny because Barack Hussein Obama picked Joe Biden to be his VP because he's like, I need somebody. I'm a one-term community organizer from Chicago. I got a ton of experience to be president. Oh, let me pick Joe Biden. In our Democrat Party, he's a senior statesman. He has foreign policy experience. He's a village idiot. Do you know when they found what's his name? Bin Laden. Joe Biden was kind of in the situation room, like, don't do it. Don't let these SEALs or these admirals kind of push you into this. It's a bad call. He was against going in there to kill Bin Laden. Look it up. And don't look it up through Google and whatever, because they actually show you the oh, that's false narrative. It's a fact. But that's all right. Oh, real quick, Darius Rucker. In another update of how this country is just absolutely over with, a bunch of Venezuelan fighting age male, illegal immigrants in New York City beat the shit out of 2 New York City cops. It's on video. Watch it. These cops dragged to the ground. They're kicked in the head. These animals, they track them down. They arrest them. And in this shithole known as New York City with Mayor Adams and Governor Hochul, they were released almost immediately. No bond. Beat the shit. First of all, you're in this country illegally, and you beat the shit out of 2 New York City's finest, and you're out of jail in the blink of an eye. No bond. Did you see the videos of these animals walking out as they're released, giving the middle fingers to all of us? We did it, Joe. Can you believe that? And then the media is reporting that they immediately went to some aid agency and lied about who they were, and they gave them like bus tickets or plane tickets or whatever to go to California. You can't fucking make this up, folks. So that happened this week. You can be an illegal immigrant in this country, which is a crime. You can beat the shit out of 2 New York City cops, which should be like attempted murder or whatever, and get arrested and then released on no bond. While Darius Rucker, Hootie and the Blowfish, I love Darius Rucker. Incredible musician, great American, it seems like, gets arrested for a couple buds of weed. Fucking thrown in jail, has to pay to bond out, treated like it's insanity. But ladies and gentlemen, you know why they're doing this. For years, Democrats have said, we're going to turn Texas. We're going to turn Texas. We're going to turn that state blue. Open the borders. Flood Texas with illegal immigrants. We'll turn that state. Thank God for Governor Abbott. Oh, okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. Here's a bunch of buses and airplanes, and I'm going to shovel them all to your sanctuary cities. Oh, we're going to send them. I love Governor DeSantis. I'm going to send these illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. Oh, how dare you? I love seeing limousine liberals clutch their pearls. Oh, we can't handle these illegal immigrants on Martha's Vineyard. Oh, but Texas can. These border towns, these dirt poor border towns can take millions and millions of illegal immigrants. Awful people these are. These virtue signaling awful people. I hate talking like this. It breaks my heart. If you can't tell, I have raging ego for the past 20 minutes, man, and I apologize. But it breaks my heart to see our country absolutely imploding. If you are like Xi Jinping's or Vladimir Putin's like head of security, I mean, do you sit in a meeting and brief all of this and go, I'd like to take credit for this, but they're doing it to themselves. Or maybe they sit in a meeting and going, hey, look at all the efforts I'm doing in America. It's really paying off. Folks, we're doing it to ourselves. We've met the enemy and it's us. Unbelievable. The military this week announced that you don't even need a high school diploma or a GED to get in. I said this 1,000 times. I'll keep reminding you, the number one source of recruitment for the United States military for a long time has been veterans. I don't know. I know hundreds, thousands of veterans. Not one of them wants their kids to serve. Just about every one of them that I talk to is steering their kids away from serving. Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois. What did he say on the floor of the Senate a couple months ago? Well, we need to get these illegal immigrants in this country and get them in the military. You paying attention? Where's your give a shit meter? Is it on high or is it on not? I got to be honest with you, man. Every day that goes by, I have to look at this stuff, folks, right? I trade. Did any of you listening to this podcast make a shit pot of money this week on Amazon earnings? You're welcome. So I have to, trust me, if I wasn't trading, if I wasn't running Top Gun options and putting the ladder down to teach other people how to do this, it ain't hard. It ain't rocket surgery. I can do it. I wouldn't watch the news at all. I'd be living on a mountain. I'd be freaking Ted Kaczynski in a cabin by myself, man. Family and friends. The video from one of my podcasts on the No Fallen Heroes page on Instagram has over 750,000 views. The man who wanted to be left alone. I think that resonates with a lot of people. But I'm forced to. All of this moves the markets. But you know what's really funny is the word. And if you don't understand trading, let me give you a little investing 101 right now. The worse everything gets in the United States, in the world, the better the stock market will do. If that made no sense to you, head to go.topgunoptions.com/registration and you can watch one of my recent live trade briefs. Go.topgunoptions.com/registration. The worse things get, the more the Federal Reserve, the Treasury jump in to save capitalism. If capitalism needs to be saved, it's not capitalism. We have some sort of socialist Soviet bullshit going on where Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve chief, can just sit in the basement of the Fed and print money out of thin air or hit enter on his computer and make it appear. Can you do that? Hey, Jerome, I owed a lot in taxes last year. Can you print me a little? Can you hook a brother up? I don't understand. Nobody's been able to answer this to me. You actually all know the answer, though, right? But we don't want to admit it. What are we at right now, ladies and gentlemen? 34 trillion in debt. Everything's broken. Social Security. How dare you take money out of my paycheck for my retirement? I know what the fuck I'm doing with my money. How dare you? Well, we actually need that money to steal it and rob Social Security to go do other bullshit. Medicare, Medicaid. Oh, that's the third rail. We can't touch anything. Could you imagine? I would love to invent a time machine and go grab our founding fathers and bring them to the country today. So Benjamin, Mr. Adams, I want to brief you on these entitlement programs. Oh, wait, say again, son. My hearing's bad. Entitlements. I think we wrote on this document, you're entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The fuck are you talking about, entitlements? Yeah, well, you know. Oh, and by the way, you guys want to go fishing for dinner tonight? You need a license. They would freak the fuck out. They would also go, what part of shall not be infringed don't you understand? Again, senile, crazy Uncle Joe last week or 2 weeks ago with a meeting of mayors laughed about the Second Amendment. You can't. Second Amendment's dumb. I have S-16s. There you go. So our king is actually threatening his subjects. Could you imagine briefing the founding fathers like, what did that guy say? Does he not see that we wrote in here? Folks, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, all these things were... These people believe that a government in a very limited nature is a necessary evil, but they wrote all this shit down to limit it. The people running this country today believe the exact opposite. It's a disgrace, and it breaks my heart. All right, let's throttle back from that. I'm going to have to meditate. I always meditate in the afternoon, or I try to. I try to meditate around 2:55 to 3:05. Why? I hate doing stuff straight up on the hour. You need to change it up a little bit. Like, I meditate at 3 p.m. every day. Change it up, baby. Don't be a slave to that clock. What did Karl Marx say? Time was invented by the clockmakers to sell more clocks. There is no such thing as time. We had to do that. Our human construct. But I had to get some of that stuff off my chest. It's just, it's heartbreaking. Mr. President, stop lying about the death of your son. You're either lying or you're mental. And either one of those is bad. It sucks. I get lost, Mr. President, but that does not excuse lying about the loss. Why would you have to embellish it? Well, Whiz, that's been his whole fucking career. From his plagiarism that he did, he's ran for president 3 times in a row. He sucks. It breaks my heart that the 2 best people in this country are 2 old white men who are equal in their nuts. Frickin', I'm actually starting to, I guess they weren't friends, losing friends who are just Trump sycophants. Can't stand the man. Some billionaire, I used $50 million in people's campaign donations to pay my legal bills. Thought you were a fucking billionaire, dude. I can't stand the extremes on either side. What happened to the middle of this country? I got to hope that there is a middle of this country, and we got to find it. Told some people I like Robert F. Kennedy. Oh my God. Hey man, if you disagree with somebody 20%, 30% of the time, do you really, between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, the only candidate who's on the record, a heartfelt experience on the record about legalizing psychedelics for therapeutic use is him. I should not be using the word hate. I can't stand single issue voters, so I won't be one of them, but my God, man. And one of my former friends is like, you'd be wasting your vote. How dare you talk to me like that? It's my vote. I get it. Old Whiz would have said the same thing, most likely. We'll see what happens. When I walk into the voting booth, I get it. I don't think Joe Biden makes it to the nomination or he bows out. But anyway, let's take a deep breath, get centered. I love Joe Biden. I love Kamala Harris. I love Secretary of Defense Austin. I love Jerome Powell. I love Janet Yellen. I love you. I love everybody. Doesn't mean I have to agree with you or put up with your make-believe or your bullshit. There's the difference. I can still love and have empathy and compassion for my fellow human being. Why? Because I see souls. So let me clean up my 30-minute, 40-minute rage with I still love all of those people. I have absolute compassion for the president losing his son. My parents lost a daughter. I get it. I feel it. But again, it would not excuse me to lying about it. But anyway, I do. I love these people. You have to, folks. At the end of the day, we should be able to have respectful disagreements. Thomas Paine, or who was it? I do not agree with what you say, my good friend, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. And we got people today who are doing anything but that. How dare you say that? I'm going to cancel you, boot your social media accounts. We're going to shut you down. Whoa. The exact Democrats and liberals for the longest time who were anti-war and pro-free speech have done the exact opposite. Put this gene-altering juice in your arm. We have to go to war. Do you remember years ago, Donald Trump's going to get us into war with Iran? Joe Biden had a tweet in 2020. Donald Trump cannot go and attack Iran or do anything against Iran without congressional approval. How did that tweet age, Mr. President? Go look it up. He's going to attack Iran. So again, the hypocrisy is what I can't stand. All right, in our time left, let's end on positive energy. A couple weeks ago, Zappy Zappy Zapolin, great dude. Psychedelic concierge, Wall Street guy, same thing, similar background. Like, is this it? This disgusting chase for money? These people who would push their own mother in front of a bus to make $1? This is it? No, it isn't. Zappy's has some great documentaries. He did a great documentary with Lamar Odom. My God, I met Lamar in Miami. He lost his son, 6-month-old son. And when I told him about experiencing my father and my sister, he said, Whiz, I got to see, I spent time with my son from 6 months old to 6 years old to 16 years old to 60 years old. And I had tears in my eyes. Wow. Lamar Odom was a mess, folks. He is a different human being now. So Zappy, love Zappy, doing some good work. He reached out to me and said, hey, Whiz, I'd like to invite you out to Malibu to this beautiful Camp Zappy, this beautiful retreat location in the hills of Malibu for a ketamine retreat. And I was like, The medicine calls you. Kind of been in a low lately, folks. I don't know if you can pick up on that, but it's just me. I talked about this with you all, with Nicole in the last podcast, just not feeling, first of all, I'm taking on the energy of the freaking country and the world and war all over the place and hate and cops getting attacked by illegal immigrants. So feeling all of that energy that I've never felt before, right? Before this medicine work, now it's heavy. So lying on my back in final Shavasana one morning at Yoga Joint here in Boca Raton, a little bit of tears in my eyes. I think it was last Tuesday. I'm like, you know what? Why wouldn't I? Couple things. I'm like, you know what? A lot of veterans, ketamine is legal, folks. It's 100% legal in this country. Schedule 3, prescription, blah, 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 but it ain't Schedule 1. Like us having to run out of the country to heal people. Thank you, Oregon and Colorado. You're saving us. You're leading the way. So I'm like, you know what? This is Tuesday and I had to, I had to fly out there like Friday or Thursday. Like, I you know what, Zappy, I am. Because a lot of veterans ask me like, hey, what's, have you sat with ketamine? What are these other medicines like in respect to ketamine? I'm like, I can't speak to it, and I'm going to admit that I was wrong. Let's lead with that. Could not have been more wrong. I was a little bit of a medicine snob, to be honest with you. Ketamine, it's made in a lab, dudes with a beaker and a lab coat and big pharma and blah. Guess what? Ketamine's made from various salts and other stuff. It's technically from the earth, Whiz. Oh, shit. Got that one wrong. It's not a plant medicine, iboga, extracting out of iboga ibogaine or psilocybin. It's not toad venom like 5-MeO-DMT. It's its own thing. So I'm like, you know what? First of all, and Zappy, you got to check out my Instagram, official_Whiz Buckley, and look at the pictures of this place. Oh my God. I forgot. I love California. Can't stand most of the people. Can't stand the guy running the place. Love the place. I grabbed a rental car from LAX, drove up PCH, Pacific Coast Highway. I forget how much I love that place. Just being close to the hills and the ocean and the sand and it centers me. And then hung a right and went up into the Malibu hills. Wow. And came upon this beautiful retreat location, like 7-10 house-sized type of structures and a nice little creek or river running through it and a huge mountain, hill. Aspen is a mountain. This was, a little smaller than that. But, kind of straight up that we could hike up to. And Zappy said, hey, the people that own this place and our partners want to, like, next year turn a bunch of these places on the property into a 60-bed-ish or home cottages veterans retreat, 3-6 month programs to heal veterans. I'm like, wow. So I'm glad. I'm like, you know what? This is awesome. Because you all, just so you all know, Nicole, me, Susie, we don't, first of all, recommend any medicine or any location unless we've gone there and done it. That's just, it's kind of common sense. You can't, I won't disparage other people, but it's interesting that some people who haven't even done medicine work are running around this veteran space as a so-called nonprofit when they're operating as a business. So Camp Zappy, ketamine, and I'm so glad I did it. First of all, to be able to speak to it. And second of all, I needed to knock some of the rust off. First impressions. Now I get why Daniel, Cody, some other folks are like, hey, ketamine is a good triage. It's a good, for lack of a better word, tourniquet to stabilize somebody who's not in a good place. And before this experience, I thought that sounded nuts. There were people who were like, oh my God, if a vet's really on the edge, you got to get him to a ketamine thing. I'm like, somebody's suicidal? You're going to, yeah. I'm like, that came from a place of ignorance and a place from ego. Now I know that's in fact the case. The day after I got back, I'll keep the name out of it, a TGO member in our Max Afterburner group posted, it was getting lost in the trade thread. We're trading, we're in there posting our intelligence, we're laughing, we're going back and forth. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to end it all. And then I saw a couple, I didn't know if that was part of a joke or I'm scrolling up and then somebody's like, hey, again, I'll leave the name out of it, but hey, are you okay, dude? And so I started paying attention to this thread. No, I'm ready to go. I'm like, holy shit, man. People start freaking out a little bit. I get this member on a phone call. Very intoxicated. Thank God for one of my other members who, because I asked for his number. Somebody saw the number. Somebody called the cops. Thank God, because I'm on the phone with one of our TGO members this week. Served in the Air Force. He was on the top of the world. Whiz, his wife had left, and he's got 2 beautiful daughters. He's like, Whiz, I'm done, man. I went from being on top of the world in the Air Force and just I got nothing left to live for. I'll save you. I'll save whatever, but why am I bringing this up? Because I'm like, I push mute. I'm telling Susie, I'm like, find a ketamine clinic in Williamsburg. And so we start jumping to make this happen. There's no way on God's green earth prior to this weekend I would have even thought about that. But after this experience, that was immediately. So thank you, God. Thank you, universe, for this experience. This guy, stable. He's thinking about the ketamine treatment. We're going to we'll take care of it, and I'm on it. But ladies and gentlemen, I shit you not, this happened the day after I got back. Was it the day I got back Sunday night? This was Monday. And thank you for all the TGO members. Like, dude, how do you make out everything? So thank you, because as I'm on the phone, man, I hear clicking. And he's like, that's the gun, Whiz. Are you ready to hear somebody blow their brains out on the phone? He said to me. That was tough. That was brutal. I've never experienced something like that. I held space, compassion, love for my brother. Guy was right, man. And I felt that, right? I could have that type of empathy and compassion. I'm like, I get it, my brother. This country is going to hell in a handbasket. So is the world, but your beautiful children need you. Oh man, that was tough. Anyway, let me pull back up because there's no way that would have entered my mind. And now he's looking into it. He's like, okay, they were going to do a consult that next day. The TGO member who did call the police came when I was on the phone with him. And, I talked to the one officer and they're, okay, we got it. And thanks. And they were very loving and kind to him and stable. But the answer is yes, in my opinion. If you know somebody who is pretty damn close, listen to me. Not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. Not a psychologist, psychiatrist, anything professional, man. I'm speaking from experience. These are the only doctors can do this, right? So these are medical professionals, and get them there to do a consult to maybe sit with the ketamine. So, the experience, it was supposed to be intramuscular or an IV, but the one doctor couldn't make it. So another doctor had, it's a lozenge. It's in between a tiny starburst and a large starburst. It's in between those two sizes. It's a square lozenge. And you put it in your mouth. And this was great. There was about 20 of us. It looked a little Heaven's Gate-ish. I will be honest with you. I'm always like a little, if you don't get that reference, Google it. They weren't handing out tracksuits. It was all good people. One of the guitar players from Santana's guitar player. It was a cool, eclectic group. I was the only veteran. There were doctors there, and just a great crowd. And sound bowl healing and meditation, all good stuff the whole weekend. Some yoga, eating well. It was awesome. But let's just get to the experience itself. And if I run out of time, we'll reattack on ketamine, because I was wrong. I'll be first to admit whenever I'm wrong. Or I wasn't informed. How about that? I wasn't wrong. I was misinformed. Is that a word, misinformed? Or is it like strategery with George Bush? The experience... we had our bed. I brought my eye shades, and, it's interesting doing a medicine like ketamine after doing ibogaine, 12, 14-hour experience, or psilocybin, 5-6 hour, pretty intense experience, or toad, going from 0 to infinity and flipping in the bed, right? So when you do that first, coming to a ketamine, it gives me interesting perspectives. Swish the lozenge around in your mouth. They had like a timer, like put it in your mouth. Don't swallow. Because they're like, if you swallow it like gets in your stomach, and it takes longer to get in there, and you might be in it a little longer. So swish for 10 minutes. Try not to swallow. And then whatever's left after the timer runs out, it had fully dissolved for me at the 10-minute point, but just kind of get rid of the stuff. Right around the 8 or 9 minute point, I'm like, huh. And it's interesting because they're like, okay, so, 30, 45 minutes. And then, after that, just kind of stay in a meditative state, or, sit up and check I'm like, wait, say it again. 30 to 45 minutes. I'm like, what? Okay. That sounds awesome, because I'm suited up for battle. 8 minute point, I'm like still swishing. I'm like, okay, because I guess it, in your mouth, it activates quicker. Again, leave that to the doctors. Eye shades on, back, focus on my breathing, and just getting centered and surrendering and allowing, trusting, allowing, right? That's my acronym, TOAD, TOAD. Transcend, open, accept, divine. I guess the T, I could also say trust. Trust, open, accept, divine. So I will tell you, it's a psychedelic. I was a little nerve-sighted about the ketamine. Why was I nerve-sighted? I don't like reading the word disassociative. Ibogaine, the psilocybin, the toad. I was a pilot in command. Well, sometimes I was Goose. I was in the back seat with God driving and me hanging on the back of the airplane. The term disassociative, like, so, you kind of, I again, ignorance, but I was like, disassociative just doesn't, okay, let me buckle up, buttercup. And I got to be honest with you, again, back in the day, people like, oh yeah, I took, K, or at a party, or special K, or I got into a K hole. I'm like, what? I will tell you right now, what I did, there's absolutely no way on God's green earth I think that is fun or recreational at all. And now I get when people are like, oh, you got into a K-hole, like, this is kind of whatever. I'm like, you think? So my experience, and half I wanted to knock the rust off, and the other half was clinical. I wanted, I looked at like, okay, I've been swishing 8 minutes. All right, I'm starting to, spit. All right, now I'm putting the eye shades on at this time, and then, halfway through, I'm like, let me see if I can sit up, take eye shades off, and see. So I'm trying to get my flight instructor qual, right? But, halfway through and I'm like, let me see if I can, I'm like, why would you do this at a party? Or I don't judge. I'm talking about me. This was 100% therapeutic. Maybe at a smaller dose, it would be enjoyable. I did not find it. Give me some ketamine at a party. So, which is interesting because now after having done the experience, I look back on it and I'm like, oh yeah, I've cleared up a lot of misconceptions or stuff about the ketamine, which is pretty cool. Again, no judgment. If you take ketamine when you're out to enjoy yourself and have fun, it sounds better than alcohol, to be honest with you, and poisoning your liver and all that type of stuff. And you're not making awful decisions. So no judgment. But I am just telling you, based on my experience, ain't no, I guess I have to come up with a new definition of fun, right? The ibogaine, any of the healing medicines I've done, I have to come up with a new definition because they were incredible experiences, but not, in the old days, I'll be absolutely honest, a little MDMA in the club in Miami or out in Vegas or whatever. Hey, I did have fun, but and I'll be honest with you, I haven't done an MDMA therapeutic session, like gone through, I think I should go through like the MAPS protocol. I think they do a couple talk sessions. I think they do 3 MDMA sessions over whatever time span. Then they have talk therapy at the end, just again, so I can, but I definitely want to look into doing an MDMA therapeutic setting because again, being a completely open book, most of my MDMA experiences were for quote fun. Let me work on that. But you know what? My rant took up way too much time. Took up about 40 minutes, and then I only gave you about 20 or 15 minutes of the ketamine. So let's table the ketamine, and let's come back and reattack that because it definitely deserves its own debrief. Let me give you the bluff, right? Military men and women use this term bluff. Bottom line up front, I should have gave you the bluff. Ketamine, absolutely therapeutic. Ketamine, absolutely awesome. Triage, tourniquet. And I can understand how people are like, dude, I did ketamine, saved and changed my life, and I'm a different human being and blah, blah, blah. Boom. If you had never done a psychedelic before or any other sort of medicine like that, that would have been, at least to me, an incredibly intense and therapeutic experience. So it's awesome. So I love it, recommend it, and I'll give you a deeper debrief when we reattack next time. I apologize. My rant went a little long. I'm going to clean that up and get back to being centered, man. Like I said, I love you. I love all of those people. Even if I'm ranting against someone or something, doesn't mean that I don't love them. We can have respectful truth over artificial harmony. And hell, I don't even think we have artificial harmony in this country anymore. And that's sad. I'm working to change it. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you're hedged, especially as this market just keeps going up to the moronosphere. Fights on. Namaste. Basi, Whiz out.